What is cracking, YouTube? Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we are talking about Solana again. Now we spoke about them last time, but a lot has happened since our last video, so let's dig into it. So we have the daily chart here and we are now at $3.37. So the market has been quite bullish. Why? Because the supply of this coin, everything got unlocked. So now all the tokens are able to basically be sold by the tokens that are held by the team and the foundation and things like that. And so what has happened is price basically on that day rejected the level at 250. That was that key important level we were talking about, for which it broke, and we went to the next level, which was at 350, and here we are now. So those who did get on board were able to take advantage of this. Great job. It is an extremely bullish move, and Solana is now looking very, very bullish. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Today, we are talking about the price prediction for Solana in the medium term, I guess. Maybe short term, depends on how this alt season goes. If you find these videos useful, please hit that subscribe button, and I would very much appreciate it too if you hit the like button, so we can share this video, reach more people, and get more people on board the Solana train now. So hope you enjoyed today's video, and let's get stuck in. So if we jump down onto the lower time frames, we see that Solana's had this now pretty decent uptrend. We've broken a lot of key significant levels. Now we're looking extremely bullish. The key part now is though that I'm looking at this area here and I'm thinking, what are we forming? You know, are we going to form this double top, just sell off? Or are we going to see this consolidate and form a flag pattern for which then we break to the upside? Now that's a bit more likely of what I'm thinking. The reason because Solana overall is looking very bullish. And there's a lot of stuff going on with it in the land of social media. A lot of talk, a lot of chatter, a lot of people humming, bickering, everything like this, going crazy, they're off their heads. But it's creating a lot of talk around the project. It's getting out there, words getting out there, and I think this is part of the ploy to get Solana out there with more people so that everyone jumps on the train. So let's dig into that. If we have a look at Twitter, it's where it's all going down. Sam from Alameda, or FTX, or Serum, you know, CEO of all of these ones, quite an influential person in crypto, pretty much created a market for somebody who was betting against him on Twitter that Solana would be below $2 in a week. So he created a market for it. And here it is. Basically, it's at 94% that it's going to be above $2 within a week, which is in 3 days' time. Pretty crazy if you ask me. But what it does tell you is that he's bullish on it. He's extremely bullish, and he has a lot of resources and a lot of power in the space to be able to, you know, buy it up basically himself. You know, he doesn't need to be out there manipulating it as such. He can just be buying it out there for his personal, you know, funds. You know, and as he says here, you know, this was another one of those Twitter rants with another guy where they were talking about it. And basically he was like, I'll buy as much Sol as you have right now, even at $3. You know, so he's super, super, super bullish on the space. So that's our first thing. You know, when you've got big influential people who have big followings, a lot of pull, when they're very bullish on something, you've got to take note, regardless of whether you believe it or not. You know, he's basically out here right now pumping Solana, right? That's first. Right, the next thing is that, you know, obviously he's the CEO of FTX and Alameda. They have the resources to be able to, Alameda have the resources to be able to buy and hold this as a trade. And so it's very tough when you're in this sort of situation to be very, very adamant of the short, right? And you've also got a lot of stuff too around people putting these trades on and, you know, people talking all sorts of nonsense. You know, this is where it all started. Solana was at 205 and he basically bet 1-to-1 that Solana would be lower. That's where we had this market created on FTX. Pretty crazy stuff if you ask me. But onto another reason of Solana and everything like that is we've got to start looking though at the fundamentals of it and what's actually going on with it. And you know, with this stuff from the US, there was some regulation news come out last week where they're going to allow banks to use public blockchains and stablecoins. One of the big things, and one of the reasons why I bring that up, is that that has a direct correlation to Solana through USDC, which is, as it says here, is already integrated on Solana, which is the only chain that can settle at 50,000 transactions per second with very, very low fees. So that's very interesting. That's something to take note, right? Because that's pretty big news. We also, if we actually look at the Solana website as well and browse the ecosystem of the type of projects that are built on it, we can see that there's quite a lot. You know, we've got other wallets, we've got apps, we've got dexes, and Serum is something we'll have a chat about in a sec. Other wallets, you know, some of the other ones that I'm quite familiar with are things like MXC, that's another exchange, you know, Anchor, OKX, another exchange where they were listed on that one, Frontier, which is quite an interesting DeFi play coming up, Gate.io, another exchange, Oxygen, that's that new DeFi project we briefly touched on last time. You know, and they've got a lot to do with a lot of different things. You know, Solana's starting to either list it on exchanges, is underpinning, you know, the infrastructure for other projects and blockchains, and it's moving and shaking. You know, if you do look at where it is as a whole, you know, total transactions are over 9 billion now. It's definitely moving and shaking. There's certainly room to the upside. The other interesting point, now let's talk about Serum, and we'll jump over to CoinGecko, is that Serum has a fully diluted valuation of 17.5 billion. Now, why is this important? It's because if you look at Solana right now, it only has a fully diluted valuation of 1.6 billion. Now, not often do you actually see a project that's built on a chain bigger than the chain itself. You know, you look at Ethereum, for example, it's the underpinning for this, and it's valued at 148 billion. So Solana right now is 1% of Ethereum in market cap potential. There obviously is a big difference between that, and I'm definitely not here saying Solana is going to beat Ethereum or is going to be better. You know, I have no idea, to be honest, in that particular space. But what I do know is that when something that is built on it is at this price, and when Solana is here at $3, it wouldn't be unrealistic to see Solana go 10x from here, be around the size of Serum, be a tenth of the size of Ethereum, and potentially still even have more upside. So if you actually think about it, and if we jump on the charts again, you know, there is potential to see this thing absolutely skyrocket. You know, if we look at the daily chart, there is absolutely no reason why this can't go north of $30, 30 to $40. There's absolutely no reason why it can't. And it all comes down to, are they just going to keep growing? Is this bull run that we're seeing at the moment, this alt season and Bitcoin breaking higher and a lot of attention and eyes being drawn back into crypto, if that continues, things like this are going to go crazy. If you look at the last like real bullish period that we saw in 2017, there was a lot of the infrastructure tokens that were making a lot of attention. You know, you had things like Wabi, you had Icon, you had Zilliqa. What else was there? There was I think Wanchain was another one. All these different things that people were hyping on about. Potential Ethereum killers and infrastructure projects and all this sort of stuff. Solana is another similar thing to that as well. And that's why if this does go crazy, Solana is definitely going to be something to watch out for. And things that are tied to Solana. So it's important to get familiar with some of those other things in the Solana ecosystem, because some of them that are built on it are actually going to be very interesting to use in the future. One of which recently is Kin. Kin is something that a subscriber recommended on our previous video as to look into that, and we probably will do a video on that soon. But I would definitely get familiar with some of these projects that do build on the Solana technology, especially the fact that it's fast. That's the selling point for Solana, is speed. And so I think it's an interesting project. I'm more bullish on it now. I think the breakout has confirmed this idea that, you know, those who do hold it don't want to sell and are happy to sit in for the ride. And the fundamentals, you know, SBF is Sam is very, very bullish on it. He's pushing it out there. The fact that Serum is already fully diluted valuation is just so insanely high, means that potentially Solana has a lot of upside. It's very small in comparison with ETH. It has a good risk reward considering the amount of apps that are built on it. And, there's already been a lot of stress tests on the speed of it. People have already been checking out how many transactions they can scale on it. And, from what I've seen, we're going to see crazy numbers. We're going to see 10x of what they currently do, 500,000, maybe even 1 million transactions per second on something like this. And so it's super important. I think it's still very early. I think you've got to really use this video today now to just bring Solana to your forefront of your research. Dig into it more. Dig into it. See if it's right for you. See if it's right for your trading or your portfolio or however you want to do it. But really dig in and understand this project. I think it's one that could definitely be in the top 15 in the next year or two. I think it's very much going to be on people's lips in this next boom as being one of those projects that could surprise everyone out of nowhere. And so hopefully you got a bit of value out of this. If you do want to see more videos on Solana, make sure you chuck a comment down below and let us know what you want to see. But for now, I think we'll leave it there. I'm still holding some Solana longs. I'm looking to take some profit up around just over $4, and then I'll look to see where we go and if we break above the highs, and potentially I might be buying as well if we do see any sort of pullback. I do think there'll be great opportunities if we do get a pullback. I'm going to be quite even more bullish on it. I think that'll be a great opportunity. Might be short-lived, but who knows, in this crypto market, crazier things can happen. Alright guys, well, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.